make you feel?
Well, I don't want to get up in the mornings. I basically do not want to get up in the morning because I know what that day holds for me. I know it might be a day of starving myself to feed my daughter.
Starving?
Yeah, some days I don't eat.
Now, hang on, that's a strong word.
No, some
starving.
days I don't
Starving
eat.
is what we see other people doing on television in foreign countries, and that's when we all, usually an appeal, and we all put our hands in our pockets and write out our cheques and we send them to whatever charities that appeal. That's for the people in other parts of the world that are starving.
Yeah.
People don't starve in the civilised United Kingdom.
Well, they do.
Really?
You do if you live on income support, you do. If you've got children and you've got the bills to pay.
So
I
when you're
only have one
starving
meal a day.
So when you're starving on that day, Lisa, the day you're starving, what do you eat?
I don't eat at all.
Honestly?
Honestly, I don't eat at all to feed my daughter so she can have a cooked meal on a night time. More so often when the children aren't at school, because when they're at school they get a school dinner, free school dinner. When they're off school and in the holidays, that's when I find I struggle even more, because then you've got to find breakfast, dinner, tea, supper, which the only way I can do that is if I don't eat myself, so I can give her that meal.
How many days in a week would you starve yourself?
4 or 5, whatever need be, or I'd go with friends to eat.
That would be a normal week?
Yeah.
What, 4 or 5 days a week you go without food?
I'd live on toast or cups of coffee or, you know, whatever was cheap, eggs, or... I can't afford to eat proper meals every day.
Have you tried finding work?
Have I tried finding work? I worked from when I was with my husband. I haven't always been like this. I split up with my husband. I've had numerous jobs to take care of my children. Now, the way the situation is, I live in a privately rented flat. My rent is over £80 a week. For me to go to work or to get a job, I would have to earn a substantial amount of money to be able to make ends meet. And I've looked for jobs. I'm going on a computer course next week. This new deal I'm going to do, but
yeah, there's
how can I
the
do
working
that?
families tax credit now. And
that working family tax credit.
And then that allows you to work 16
it.
hours.
I've looked into it. How can you be a mother, a father, and work full time, right? Take care of a house. How can you do all them things when you've got children?
I've done it. I'm now working.
I say it's impossible.
I'm doing it. And because I want to, because I do not want to live on benefits.
I don't want to live on benefits either.
I want more for my daughter, I want more for myself. It gives me, when I get up in the morning, I've got work to go to and I feel lots better.
I want to go to work as well.
I have been on the benefits situation, so I do know what it's like. It is like a black hole and you do feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, but believe me, there is. And there is, honestly, there's help out there. You can get support.
You're right, there is light at the end of the tunnel, but it's not that simple. I came from a very well-paid job, and one day I'm in a very well-paid job with loans and credit cards and all of the things that normal people have, and the next day I am expected to live on £51.40 a week. The knock-on effect of that has put me into such a trap that it will take years to get out of it, even if I get a job tomorrow. Okay, and now that I've been unemployed for a long period of time, as my self-esteem drops, so does my chances of getting a job. And I pick myself up, as Lisa said, you pick yourself up and you try again.
That's right, but you've got to keep trying, you've got to keep trying, you've got to keep going forward, you've got to.
How often, when you were unemployed, how often did you wake up in the morning and you just couldn't? You couldn't get out of bed because your self-esteem has reached such a level.
It was low, but at the end of the day, it's got to come from you. There's only you that can pick yourself up.
Okay.
And there's only you. If you want something that much, you will get it. You will. You'll succeed. You will. If you really want something to work that much.
If you offered me a job right now paying me £12,000 a year, I cannot financially afford to take it because I don't have a child that lives with me. Because I'm divorced, I'm a single male.
Right.
I get nothing.
I know everybody's circumstances are different. I understand that.
But Lisa's in a position where she wants to be...
I get £11 more than what he gets, and I've got a child to take care of.
She does.
I've suffered with depression.
I've taken the risk of coming off benefits and getting into work. I've got a child. I've got to put food on that table for my daughter. And I know it's a risk, and it's self-employment, so that's even more of a risk, because from one week to another, I'm not sure how much I'm going to earn. But
I want to come
work.
off benefits, I want to go to work, but at the end of the day, how can I go to work full-time and earn enough money to live on? How can I do it?
I'm a childminder, right, and I have people that come to me and they do go out full-time and they run a house because they get benefits back from the state. They claim nearly all their childcare back.
Nearly all of it, but what you don't tell other people is that when you go to get childcare, you have to pay a percentage of it yourself.
Not much though.
Yeah, but you still pay
I've just filled a form in for a lady.
Money.
She gets back about £100 a week. She pays me £80, she gets about £20.
It doesn't make any difference.
She gets £80 a week paid back.
But this lady says
doesn't
every
make
penny
any
counts.
difference.
And when you're on benefits, every penny does count.
Excuse me,
does,
if you're working and you've got both partners working, every penny counts.
Well, that's right.
You know, I'm not living in luxury. I've not got a nice modern outfit that you're wearing today. For somebody who's starving, you're doing very well, very fashionable.
Excuse me, the clothing.
And I know what it's like when both parents are working and you don't want to get up in the morning.
The clothes that I have on me today, I've had for over 2 years. These are the clothes that I had when I lived comfortably with my husband. I haven't bought any clothes for 2 years. My daughter has the same uniform on. She's had numerous different schools. She's had the same uniform for 2 years.
I've got 4 children and so are mine, and I still work, and it's still a struggle to get up in the morning sometimes because I'm tired. But I don't live on benefit.
I would love to go to work.
I juggle a couple of jobs.
I don't think you could say you love to go to work. I do 6 jobs. My husband works, I work. I do 6 jobs to make ends meet. My life isn't luxurious at all, right? I have to work really hard, and people say, because we've got a nice house, because we do the, oh, aren't you lucky? And I get really angry, because there's people like yourself that can get things from the government, can get benefits, can get help.
That is absolute
Well, I'm sorry, I disagree.
You are lucky.
Because I don't get nothing and my husband doesn't. We work every penny, and we've got children, and it's not easy.
I've worked. I've only been on income support 8 months.
Yeah, because of your
I've worked cleaning
circumstances.
toilets.
But what I'm saying is, I have a bad back. Sometimes I have to stop work like that. I can be off work for 4 months. But the government won't help me. I've got to help myself.
What, and the government
I have to manage, and I manage. I go out and clean toilets if I have to.
I would do that as well.
But I do it. That's what I'm saying. I do it, and I do manage, and it's hard.
I would go to work, right? I'm willing to go to work. That's why I'm going to do a computer course.
That's
I
good.
want to go to
Yes,
I'm at the job centre every day. I do try to get jobs. Now, let's face it, at the end of the day, I haven't got any qualifications, right?
I've never had any qualifications. I've got some in the last 2 years.
Well, I'm going to get qualifications now. I'm starting an IT course.
You're trying, aren't you? You are trying.
I am trying. I don't want to live like this.
What I'm saying is, why should you be any different? Because of
Hang on.
this...
I don't know where you
Leslie,
live, but
Leslie.
could I just make
go on,
a
Karen,
point
yes, you can.
that in Newcastle
Leslie.
upon Tyne, it's very difficult to get a job.
Exactly.
I'm qualified and I can't find a job. I'm desperate for a part-time job. I'm a single parent. I finished my job and a job contract in November of last year, and since then I get £75 a week from the government, and I've got to find the mortgage, I've got to find insurance, I've got to find all sorts of things. I won't even get mortgage allowance until I've been on the dole for 40 weeks. That's the end of July. So I'm living on something like £25 a week, and I have to shop at the very cheapest shops, 25 pence for half a dozen eggs, things like that. I've got to juggle my finances to make every penny
and help the aged.
What's the cheapest shop?
What are you on about charity shop?
What's the cheapest shop? What's the cheapest shop?
Netto's, Aldi, Lidl. Yeah, but what I'm trying to tell you...
I mean, that's part
Listen,
everybody likes to go shopping.
One at a time.
Going there. There'll be 200 people going for the job I'm going for. And if I was actually at one job interview, and a man said to me, have you got any children? And I said, yes, a daughter. Is there anyone to look after your daughter if she's ill? I said, no. He said, well, what would you do? This is a job interview in Newcastle upon Tyne. He said, my family are in Cardiff, all right?
But where are
they? Cardiff.
Right. So
yeah, I'm hardly able to drop them down in Cardiff. So he said to me, well, I'm afraid, what would happen if your daughter was ill one day? I said, well, I'd have to stay home and help her. I'd phone in and try and do what I could and da-da-da-da. And I came away from that job interview, and the personnel manageress, she phoned me afterwards. She said, you did a wonderful interview, Karen. You're qualified. She said, but I'm very sorry. The sales director does not want you because you've got a child.
Well, he's wrong, isn't he? That's
and I went back to my training provider and I said, that shouldn't even be legal to say that to me.
Let me talking about
There are
poverty.
so many different reasons why people don't get jobs. You know, potential employers will look at your postcode, and if you live on a housing estate or whatever, you won't get a job because of that. You won't get a job because you've got children, and they're worried about your commitment, what have you. And yet sometimes you get... I don't want to turn this into women against men, but sometimes women, because of our past history, have got to try so much harder to just keep a job, and yet they end up being better at being able to maintain a job and work at home. I think that's the wrong word to use. I'm probably one of the poorest in the country.
Oh, it's the wrong word to use. I'm the poorest in the country.
No, I think we're not poor in terms of Ethiopia or anything like that.
Right. Excuse me. Yes, we are. She starves. Starves. Her word. 4 days a week. She doesn't eat anything.
Listen, I live in a house. I have no carpets on my floor, right? I have no carpets on my floor.
Like that. I'm not disagreeing.
I have no freezer. I have no freezer.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
In my house, I have... this is all I have in my house is basic settee, double bed, single bed, and they are what a friend provided for me, because the government would not give me a grant to get furniture, would not help me towards carpets. I've tried all ways. You want to come and live in my house and live the life I'm living.
You've got a job, though.
Hang on, one at a time.
You have a job.
If you've only been unemployed for 8 months, what happened before that? You must have had possessions.
Well, yes, my circumstances. I left my husband. You know, I left the home. I left with a carrier bag full of things. I left my husband out of my own choice. I wanted to leave. I did do. But then I took my daughter with us. The only thing I could do was leave my son behind, who is actually 3 today. I had to leave him with his father where he can be taken care of, well looked after. I had to go and find accommodation myself, which I did do, which was a private landlord, a friend of mine, rented accommodation. She had to put furniture in that accommodation. I did not choose to be on income support. I went on to income support because I had to leave a job, I had to leave my husband, and I had to leave a child behind. You think I want to have a child living apart from me? I do it because I know that my child is better off living with his father, because me and my daughter live in poverty.
But and I don't want to give him that job. You would be. It might not be the job that you want. I mean, we all do jobs that we don't want to do. But you're working, and that will help you.
Yes, I know that.
That will help you to get the job. That will help you to get the job that you want to do.
Hang on, David. Leslie?
I was working, and I was no better off.
Exactly.
My children ended up having no school-free meals, so they weren't having an extra hot meal. So I ended up giving up my job because I was no better off, and I was more stressed. And I was working at home because I couldn't afford the childminding fees.
I work, and my children don't get...
There's a difference between, I think, people who are working and paying taxes and those who are unable to work and so obviously taking social security benefits. Now, as somebody who pays 40% tax and then pays a lot in poll or council tax because of the value of my home, I don't mind paying that, but as long as I know that the social security is going to those who really need it,
right.
those who can't work. Because that's the whole nature of society. Those who can work, and young people like me, who without a family and had the benefit of going to university and private education, there's a responsibility to pay more taxes. But very, very important that those who can work, the young people, they get up off their backsides.
So hang on. So hang on, I want Mr. 40% taxpayer first.
Who is it? 40% is just the income tax.
Oh, I know about 40%. Who is it when you end up Mr. 40% taxpayer saying get up off your... Yes, I know, Lisa. I know. We both know, don't we, me and you, Lisa? We want to know, me and Lisa, who you're pointing the finger at.
Pointing the finger at.
You're saying you don't mind. None of us mind. No. And everybody applauded you, including Lisa and Karen and Leslie. Nobody minds helping those who are more fortunate for themselves, through no fault of their own. Well, you are saying, but those who can help themselves. Are you talking about anybody here? Are you talking about Lisa or Karen or David?
Many different people. David. If you look on a group of people.
No, we're not doing a group of people. We're talking about the people here today, Daniel. And we don't make. We're here today. We call a spade here, and we look people in the eye, and we say, "I'm talking about you." So I'm going to pick on you, David, because that's who he's talking about, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
Look at David.
Earlier,
chatting before we
never
came
mind you.
here.
Yeah, don't make friends before.
We've had people.
Tell him. No,
We've had people here say.
That's what this is about. This is real.
They commented about the way
Archie.
Lisa's dressed. Well, I'm well dressed. I didn't go out and buy these.
Not fashionable.
I didn't go out and buy these last week.
What we're saying is that
no, I didn't go out and buy these last week.
A young lady with children who has to look after the children than the man with no children who can go and work.
Oh, great! Thank you, because now you are pointing at me because I'm the divorced single. Thank you. I'm the divorced single male. I've been unemployed now for 2 years. Do I want to be unemployed? Absolutely not. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have over 120 rejection letters.
He's young enough to get a job, isn't he? What's holding you back?
I have over 120
just a minute.
rejection letters.
You previously said you had a very good job.
Yes.
And your cards, and you could go around in a car and have a nice life.
Yes.
And now you're telling me to expect you want to live on £51 a week.
Of course not.
Go and get yourself a job, son. Yeah. Go and get yourself a job.
Okay, go get myself a job. Fine. I have at home. I wish I brought it with me. I have 120 rejection letters.
What is stopping you getting yourself a job?
120 rejection letters.
Next week. Myself.
Hang on,
yes.
I can get myself a job next week. And I'll probably give you about 40 years. So don't tell me you can't get a job.
Can I just ask you something? Are you a qualified man?
Sorry. I have a degree.
Exactly. Do you not find that in these jobs it's harder for you to get a job because you are qualified?
I'll tell this gentleman the excuses.
If you wanted
I'm
to
too
go
qualified. I'm too experienced.
If you wanted to go
I am too high profile. I'm too old.
Yeah. If you wanted to go.
One at a time.
Do something else. Take a job. Anything. Do something different.
You can't draw breath here, you know. You'll be out. They're useless men, aren't they? Come on.
I've been on income support for 3 years now, and I got sick and tired of living the circumstances I was living in. So I got myself a part-time job, which is under 16 hours, simply so I could get back to work. Not so much the money, but just simply get back to work.
Yeah.
And I think it's the next step forward.
Yeah.
If you've got a job, if you've got one job, doesn't matter what it is, if it's sweeping streets, working behind a counter at Tesco's, at least it gives you the incentive to, and it's easier to get another job as well if you've got one job.
Yeah.
And you look very irritated by all that, very anxious, very angry. Tell me why before you talk about how it affects your relationship.
I agree with this gentleman down here.
David.
Yeah. I mean, since I've left school, I've had one job, tyre fitting. In 27 years, I don't know nothing else. I can't get a job in tyre fitting now because the jobs are few and far between. I can't do anything else.
We can. You can
Go to a job centre, they want you on done at least 6 months before you get training.
I've done it with children. I've done an access course which got me the equivalent to A-levels. I'm now doing a degree. I'm doing my finals this month. Well, and this gentleman here, if you say you can't afford to take a £12,000 a job, well, we live on less than that, and we've got 2 children, and we can afford to live on a £10,000 income, and we've got our own. So you can do it.
And
go back to what David...
I have a piece of paper here that has my budget on it. Before food, before I eat, I need to take home £1,000 a month.
No, you don't, because we take home less than that. We've got 2 children. We take home less than that.
My rent is £700 a month. The bank wants £165 a month. Bank rent.
What are you living in?
I'm sorry.
A mansion?
No, I live in a council tower block with a private landlord. And the rent is £700 a month.
So move somewhere cheaper. Move somewhere cheaper. Our mortgage in a 3-bedroom house is not even half that.
No, I completely agree. I completely agree.
No, we've worked for what we've had.
We've got £20 a fortnight to live on.
Hang on, please.
David,
make a point.
No, I agree with David. I think you're right. I think there is a clear... Sorry, Daniel. I think there's a clear divide of people...
Get them right. Daniel's public schools, David's council fund.
I think we pay income tax on the job that my husband has, and we agree. If we pay income tax, it should go to the people that need it. But I think you made a clear definition. There is a difference between the people that can work and the people that don't want to work.
People who are on income support are people who need the money.
You could work and you could get with new government's benefits.
You're saying
that. Say hands up to Labour. You can get work and tax family credit, which makes your income up to £250. We do it. with 2 children, a mortgage, a car, we don't drink, we don't smoke. If we're prepared to put in the effort, then work for facts tell me this.
Cheryl, come on, one at a time. One at a time, please.
Move somewhere cheaper, you said.
I agree with him.
You can't get houses.
Hang on, please.
I agree with Lisa and that gentleman. I just split up with
Lisa.
I agree with Lisa and that gentleman down there. I've just split up with my partner. I've had to give up my job to go on income support because I cannot afford my bills with just my wages. I had to. Now I'm going to have to get a job.
You can't. You have no self-respect then, because to give up a job, to go on benefit, to give up a job, even if you're working for your 40 hours a week or 16 hours a week or whatever, and you're taking home less than you would get on benefit, you've got self-respect that you're going out and you're earning that money.
I was doing 72 hours a week.
Doing 72 hours a week knowing you've earned that money than living off the benefits.
I can't live on £500 a month.
What, do you have children?
No.
Well, we live on... my husband got made redundant last... He got made redundant last year.
What you lot say? Well, I've watched your faces. I haven't missed a trick between you lot here. I saw what you all did when she said self-respect. How you all applauded. And what did you say about £500 a week?
So we live on £500 a month and we have to pay council rent.
When my partner was there, we had so much stuff to pay off. And now he's gone. It's down to me to pay
as usual. It's this young generation.
My husband had he had a job, a stable job. He got made redundant from that job when he was off sick, which we don't think was very fair, but there's nothing we can do about that. But
Kathy, come on, we've got the conversations here for the moment.
He went from a well-paid job, and obviously you lived to your means, so we had credit cards, we had debt. But then we went to a job that was less than £500 a month. He had a rubbish job at Tesco's. Sorry, no, but we've got in contact with the companies, we've taken responsibility, we said, right, we're paying off when we can, and they've accepted that, and now he's got a better job, we're paying off.
Would you work for 40 hours a week for less money than you'll get for doing nothing?
I would if it meant my self-respect, I would.
Stupid. She does.
Don't talk so much rubbish.
You want to live... I'll tell you what. I'm talking rubbish when we've done it. My husband has worked for 40 hours a week to bring home £500, and for a man of his age with 2 children, that is rubbish, but he'd rather do that for £500 a month than live on benefits. And we knew for a fact, because we were inquired into it, if we'd have gone on benefits, we would have had about an extra £300 a month.
I tell you what, if you come and live my life, if you come and live my life, right, I can tell you, there's days I don't even want to get out of bed. And I tell you about depression, how low I feel when I see my daughter, right, at Easter, I see my daughter go to school in the same uniform she's had on for 2 years. I cry my eyes out.
Your daughter goes to school. What do you do when your daughter's at school?
What do you mean, what do I do?
If
I take my daughter to school, then during the day, I'm starting an IT course, so I'm going to do a computer course on this new deal. I'm going to do a computer course. I've only been on income support about 8 months. So
4 years' time, you could be sat in the same spot arguing my point, because we were like you. I didn't have any qualifications. I left school with really bad GCSE levels. I've retrained. I'm getting a degree. I hope to get a job at the end of my degree. But I also accept responsibility. And like now, you're going to college. That's good. But there are a lot of people that are in your situation that don't do college.
What does it do to your relationship?
Well, I mean, we argue all the time. I get depressed.
How long have you been unemployed?
Hey, let him finish.
About a year.
Let him finish. Oh, do you want to have the microphone? You go over. And I can stay in bed all morning.
Right, so how many months has she got left to go? She's got 5 weeks to go. So did she get made? Was she pregnant before or after you lost your job?
Before
you lost your job?
Give him the microphone then.
No, I don't want it.
No, he's got to do it backwards and forwards.
She said she's got to leave or go on sick. Right, but eventually the doctors put her on sick because she was bad through it.
Right.
Now, we had
so what are you doing? What are you doing?
At the moment, nothing, because we can't afford to do nothing.
Why aren't you doing college? That's free.
It's
free. People that are there.
We live in the middle of the countryside. How are we going to get it? We can afford to go out once a week.
Open university, costs you nothing, gets it delivered to your house.
What does it do to your relationship? Hang on, please.
It just sort of like brings more arguments between...
What do you argue about?
Well, whether we're going to buy food or
stuff for the baby.
You know.
It puts so much tension, it is unreal. I mean, people, no offence, but people like him and the Thais paying 4% tax and got no idea what he's talking about.
I don't know,
I'll tell you what, mate, I'll swap place with you for a month. You live in our situation and I'll live in yours and you'll change your point of view, I guarantee it.
You'll have to work very hard, you know.
I don't mind hard work.
Every day,
I would gladly do hard work.
A month isn't long enough, a month's easy.
How does it affect your relationship when you're poor? Hang on, please, John.
Our relationship has gone downhill. Now, Tracy, she lives in Blackheath.
She's just outside
She's got
London.
a 3-bedroom flat, yeah, which is a pretty nice area. It's a lovely area, but it's a slum. It was cockroaches. It was infested with cockroaches. The ceiling has fell in. The floor's giving way. It's ready to be condemned. She's in the same boat. She's got 2 children. One is with her father. The other one she's got with her who's 10. She's at school holidays. And as the lady,
have you got children together?
Said, no. I'm just with the lady.
But why don't you live with Tracy?
Because I've got my own flat. I've got a 1-bedroom flat. She has got a 3-bedroom flat because she's got 2 children.
Well, why aren't you living with Tracy in the 3-bedroom flat?
Because I'm helping Tracy. Our relationship fell apart a year ago.
Why did it fall apart?
It just fell apart,
Because of poverty?
Yeah, because I kept getting more problems, and my problems became his problems.
What kind of problems, Tracy?
Like money situations, like...
What, you're getting into debt?
Yeah.
What kind of debt?
Well, look, I had to get like a bed for my daughter, a cabinet so she could put clothes in.
So what did you...
A catalogue.
You had a catalogue, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you justify...
You got loan sharks?
Sorry?
You got people coming to the door you borrow money?
Yeah,
you do?
at the moment, yeah, because I can't afford to pay the catalogue bills.
How much do you borrow off them?
£150.
How much do you pay back, do you know?
I haven't at the moment because I haven't been able to pay back.
But they're knocking on your door all the time for the money?
I get £64 a week.
How much debt are you in?
£150.
Just for that?
But
what I meant was how much was the total debt? That was the total 150?
No, that's just for the catalogue
I know,
debt, yeah.
So how much is the total?
Oh, well...
Can you count
my
it up?
rent, no.
You don't know how much?
No.
And that's what causes rows between you?
Yeah.
And what about... But you're not at work either?
I wonder how you justify... Now, she was with the homeless persons unit. Now, they gave her... She's a homeless person, an unfurnished accommodation. She had to go in there floorboards with a little girl.
They've done that to me as well.
With a little girl. How was she meant to live? I borrowed her the money to get a bed, so at least she could
why
sleep
don't you
there.
live together?
I've only got 1-bedroom flat.
Yeah, but she's got 3.
She's got a 3, but our relationship's over now.
OK. Did you want to affect your relationship, Leslie?
We don't. We're separated. And
Why are you holding his hand, then?
we're
still friends.
Yeah.
What kind of friends?
Very good friends, actually.
Very good friends. So what kind of a separation is this, then?
We want to get back together again, but financially it's going to be worse off.
Oh,
We're worse off.
right. So it's a kind of financially calculated separation, not the fact that you don't like or love or get...
Yeah.
You're still together emotionally?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're sleeping together, I suppose.
No.
I can't believe
Oh, aren't you supposed to say that? Aren't you supposed to say that? I mean, for Social Security, is that
No, we're all open.
Oh, you're kosher?
Yeah, everything's
So
fine.
what caused you to split then?
Just circumstances that aren't relevant to here.
Okay, nothing to do with poverty?
No, that was a point of it, but it was different circumstances.
I wonder if people here are aware of, instead of going for a high-profile job or highly paid job, give a start. It may not be the best, but it will bring you the bread and butter, at least at home.
I'd do anything.
Excuse me, I haven't finished yet. We have a national problem.
You've got... you're leading with your chin, my friend. Don't forget, I know who you are. You've got jobs, have you? Did you do anything?
Hang on. I said people are aware of changing. We have a national problem. I live in Milton Keynes, and I have a customer friend. He said he spent £300, somebody to work for fish and chip shop. All he ever had, 14-year-old, 1 telephone call.
People applying for the job?
That's right, just
one.
Just one. We run as an Indian restaurant. We have an acute problem for it, especially for waiter, waitress. There are times I sometimes beg to the customer's sons and daughter. They say, oh, no, it's not something we don't want, you know. I say, yeah, but it's the start. And I know I helped someone for 6 months. She was even driving the car without even insurance. I said, why didn't you take this job? Eventually, I'll give you the chance to run this place. I'm getting old. I wish to retire. She said, no, this is not something I want. But she rather was in debt, go into debt rather than doing this job.
She'd rather be poor, she'd rather drive a car without her, she'd take all that, than take a job with you, which might have been lowly in esteem and maybe in pay, but could have led on to something actually useful.
But not everybody feels that way, because if you'd offered the job to me, I'd have taken it.
We have a national problem.
So not
the
everybody
program
feels
was
that way.
On BBC television.
But not everybody feels that way. We do want to go to work. What you've got to understand is the people who are on income support aren't on income support out of choice. They're on income support because they can't get any help from anywhere else.
Government saying if you are low paid, government will help you to meet your need.
No. Because the problem is when you're out of work, not only are you in poverty, but you get into, like Tracy, you get into debt too, don't you? Because you can't afford all the things for the kids, whether it's the school uniforms or the shoes, never mind the clothes. Are you in debt? Because we'd like to talk to you, or we want you to come and talk to us. Come and tell us about your credit card debts, or your HB, or your catalogues, or the loan shark, and how you got into debt. Ring us now, 0990 100 771, and come and tell us what it's like living in debt. We'd also like to hear from you, of course. If you're somebody who has never been in debt and would never get into debt, whatever the circumstances, because you have very strong views about it. Ring us now. Come and tell us about it. Tell me, Mr. England supporter, is it hard to get off benefits?
Oh, yes, it is. So I'm stuck between a hard point and a rock, because I've got to earn...
A rock and a hard point.
OK.
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
Right. What I was trying to say is I've got to earn £250 to £300 a week. I've got 3 kids, I've got a wife. The rent in my place was being paid at the moment for council tax and housing benefit. If I take that comes away from there, and they take a job, I lose... They say I get £50 a week, family credit, and tax credit and all that. It's not the easy part, because when I think about it, my children and what I earn and what I've got to pay out, I lose out. So my children lose out. People sit there and saying, oh, this and all that. You know, I feel sorry for the girl down there.
Have you not considered 2 jobs, though? Because I do 2 jobs. I work in the day and I work in the evening.
I thought you had 6 jobs.
Well, I've got 6 altogether, but my 2 main ones. Yeah, but my husband comes in and I go out. We hardly see each other.
It's the first time I've been unemployed since 16.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's your fault. But what I'm saying is there are ways around these things.
Oh, yes,
we're both working, and I still find it hard to struggle.
I'm not going to take 2 jobs, but it's where I come from. Now I'm government stated #1, right down the south. We come from... Well, you're actually south in Nonsey, near Shrewsbury. Right, well, you think... because unemployment where I come from is quite high. And we've got
is it hard to come off benefits?
Why don't they try?
Hang on, my friend, is it hard?
I work myself, so when I travel like 50 miles each way to work and everything.
So what do the government tell you?
What do you do?
I do industrial spraying.
How long have you been working?
Since I was 15.
How much are you getting paid?
Not enough, really.
No, but can you remember?
Like, I get like £190 a week for doing that, and that's not including...
So you're getting less working and travelling 50 miles either way than you are on benefits?
Yeah, I know. I've explained. I'm not trying.
You've already nobbled it, have you?
I've already talked.
You've already talked to him about it. What did you say?
I have to tap you on your shoulder.
Oh right, go on.
I can see where he's coming from. I've been on both sides of the coin. I've been on an income support, and I work now, and I've worked for the past 10 years. And when I was on income support, I've got to admit I was better off. Right, I was better off, but I can hold my head up high knowing that I go to work only for £500 a month. I get a family tax credit and I can manage, right? And I do that and I've still got my pride, so I go to work and I've got 3 children and nobody can turn around and say they can't get a job because there are other jobs out there.
What I'm trying to say is it's not easy for me to come off a benefit, because if I come off benefit, I pay, OK, they pay £15 a month rent, I pay my normal rent, which would be £60-something or whatever, and I won't be able to pay my council tax.
I can understand that. I can't pay my council tax.
What I'm trying to say is we need to, if the government turned and said to me, right, OK, we'll pay £40 your rent and £40 your council tax, then I'll be fine, then I'll be able to go to work. I don't want council tax, I don't want this tax credit, I want the money to be paid where it's supposed to be paid, so I can actually stand and work.
can make arrangements.
No, that does need. I think that needs. I think that is a problem that does need addressing, and it could help you, and it could help somebody like me.
Right.
Because that is something
Well,
that
let's come on to that in 2 seconds. Benefits. Can you get off, Bennett? Yeah, you want to have a go at her, don't you? I know you've been waiting for half an hour.
I'm a nice person, really.
She's been waiting to have a go at you for the last half an hour.
Can I just say, you said about getting 2 jobs. I'm a single mum. I'm on my own, right? Yeah. If I got 2 jobs, how where would I get a childminder that would look after a child twice in one day?
Why would you have to get 2 jobs though if you can get money back from the government? Because I know
money
for
you get back from the government's no use. If I wanted to go out and work, if I wanted to go out and work, right, I would ask my sister to come and help and look after my child, right? And the government would not give you a damn penny.
Does the government do that?
The government doesn't do
it. Fraser's been very patient. No, I'll come back to you. You'll have plenty of time. Fraser's been very patient. He's been very listening. Fraser was here, you might remember, a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about pensioners living in poverty, and I actually said, well, you better come back and we'll talk about, because somebody mentioned young people. I said we do a programme on it. You better come back and take the stick. And he's actually been extremely patient, listening to what you're saying. Tell him what's wrong, what the government could do to help them.
Basically, the government should really try and give a little bit. I know everybody pays taxes. I paid taxes since I left school. I worked since I left school. I worked for 5 years and paid all my taxes, paid my dues. Right? People get themselves into situations they can't get out of, right? I fell pregnant. I had to leave work to look after my child. I'm getting £70 a week to live on. His child benefit, he's never seen his child benefit since he's been born, because his child benefit goes on in my bills. It goes on my heating bills, it goes on my electricity bills, and it goes on my TV licence and everything else. So it does. I'm like this lady here.
The same.
I'm like this lady down here.
Married and both working, I'm afraid. So does my child allowance.
Hang on, please, Fraser.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a ball.
I think in a general sense...
Hang on, let the MP get a word in.
I think in a general sense, I mean, no one disputes the fact that poverty is a real problem in Britain today, and it has been on the increase over the last 20 years. But what the government has been trying to do, because the best route out of poverty, and this is proved by everything, is work. And there's a lady up there... I think Robert, if I can just add on this. We've heard examples today. Now, they haven't covered every individual set of circumstances, but I regard some of the examples that we've heard today from the couple back up there as a real tribute to what we've been trying to do, and that is to make work pay. Now, it isn't perfect, but some of the measures that we've introduced, we've heard good things about the Working Families Tax Credit. That has helped millions of families in Britain. The fact we've introduced a minimum wage has helped a lot of people to get them out of... Well, if you tell that to security guards in the North East who are on £2 an hour, that's a big increase.
Come back to
there's a whole range. Some of the biggest increases in child benefits.
Well, we've got 1 point. We'll come back to you because we've got lots of time.
How many people can honestly say to me that they can survive on £3.60 a week, an hour? You tell me that. It should be £7.50 an hour minimum. There should be more help for people who are working.
But you haven't got to just see it in the context of the minimum wage. You've got to link it in with Working Families Tax Credits. You've got to see it in terms, if you've got children, that you've had the biggest increases ever in child benefit, which have come into effect this week. And that is reality. I mean, people can disagree, but it happens to be a fact.
Okay, you've got this family credit, but I'm divorced. I don't have my daughter come to you all. People here have said, give up my flat, have a smaller flat. If I go to a 1-bedroom flat, I lose access to my daughter instantly because I have to have a 2-bedroom flat. That's the law. But you help my wife. It's my ex-wife. You'll give her family credit. You'll give her everything to help her. She has my daughter. I'm a single male. I don't count.
So why aren't they helping the lady next to you then? If your wife's getting all this help, why isn't she?
No, my wife actually isn't. My wife is also on support at the moment because they won't help her go back to work.
I'm from the North East, as you know, and you being from the North East should know the amount of poverty we have there. You know, the different estates all over the North East, you know that there are lack of jobs. Now, what incentive are you giving me by me going on to do an IT course where all I get is £10 put on my book a week, but what they don't tell you is the first £3 of that you've got to pay towards your bus fares. So what you're telling me is for me to get education, you're going to give me £7.
Well, someone has got
to... better than nothing.
You've got to start somewhere to get back into the labour market.
Live in the real world. The real world is poverty, but you aren't seeing it. That is real poverty. You aren't seeing it.
let Fraser answer you. Lisa, you said that 3 times.
Can I just say, you know, there are not instant solutions to this problem. You know, poverty has been on the increase in Britain. I admit it, and I think everybody in this room knows that it happens. What we've got to do is to tackle it. Some of the measures I've just outlined there, not forgetting issues like the New Deal, where nearly 200,000 young people have now got jobs. You know, people shouldn't laugh when people get jobs. It's important for their self-respect and now in employment with a minimum wage, and that's very important. And I think it's too easy.
Yeah, I've been here before on this programme.
You were here praising
over
a year ago, praising the government.
Really, and I really was in that with the heart. I really did think that they were helping me and doing stuff for me. And I did a computer course, and I asked for them to allow me to continue it because I was on job seekers allowance when I started the course. So they let me continue it after my 6 months were up when I went to New Deal. So they told me, if you finish your course, Mr. Reeves, we will find no problem to get you a placement where you do a 6 months probation where we'll subsidise your income and let you have your benefits so that you can get established in a new job, and then after 6 months, if you're good enough, carry on. So I did what they say. I successfully passed my course, and then afterwards, all of a sudden, all these promises are out the window, and they still promise them, but when I next go see them, they don't mention any results from the last promise. They then tell me, oh, we can do this for you, and I'll never hear anything outcome from it. I heard people talking about toilets and stuff. Well, OK, I'll clean the toilet, yeah, great, but that's not going to fill me for life, OK? Oh, when I'm 30, I won't be able to bend down and do the mop. And people can laugh. Well, you can laugh, I'm sorry, but I want something.
When you're 30?
Well, you know.
What do you think that's terrible?
That's what shows off. Bad backs. Well, let me finish. What it comes down to, right, I don't want to go on benefit ever again, and when I get off benefit, I want to stay off benefit, because I want this pride and this respect that you get for having a job. I really do. Everybody does. It's a human right as far as I'm concerned. But what it comes down to, I've got qualifying computers, so if I take a toilet job for a New Deal or the job centre or whatever, I've just wasted that year that they've told me would aid me into getting a job. So I'm sorry, all these people that say going to college is going to be an instant solution or somewhat a faster solution. I'm sorry, but I really do have to disagree with you.
Take a deep breath.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I'm very passionate. I was holding my breath for the whole show.
I think you did very well, and I'm not sure 30's too old. Let me just finish. I mean, clearly, I don't know the full set of your individual circumstances, but I mean, generally, I think the idea of the New Deal has achieved, in the last 2.5 years it's been operating, something like 190,000 young people into work. That's important. On the issue of benefits, I mean, what I would say is I think for too long in this country, we've been prepared to condemn large groups of people to a lifetime of benefit dependency. That is unacceptable. People want the dignity and respect of a job. That's why we've introduced measures in order that the welfare state can be seen as a springboard. You know, it shouldn't be something which holds people back. It should be something that gives people
there's a lot of people want to talk to you, Fraser. I'm going to work my way around this way. You've all got to be brief because a lot of you want to speak to him.
I'll ask a question. Why is it when you sign on the dole, you've got to wait 6 months for training? When you come out of the job, you want to be straight into training. If you can't get a job in that field, to do something else. Why wait? Why you have to be on the dole 6 months before you get any training or any help? You can get nothing.
It's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you raise a good point there.
You're going to look at that one. You're going to look at it. He's going to look at that one. Is that because you've hang on, Luke, I'm trying to be fair and get everybody in.
Yeah, you've got a big enough majority in government. Why can't you sit there with the whole of the Parliament and have a Royal Commission and find out what is the cause of poverty? And then when you find it,
we've had hundreds of Royal Commissions on poverty.
Break it up. No, I'm saying, no, what I'm trying to say is we need something from the point of people knowing where what poverty is. Yeah, what poverty for me and for other people.
All right, we want a Royal Commission on poverty. We've had lots going down to Roundtree and all that. What can the government do now? That's one thing they could do, but it takes minutes and wastes years.
I'd like to ask what is the government doing for people with illnesses? Everybody's on about families, and fair enough, I think in here there's a lot of attitudes that are wrong, because this lady down here, somebody had said, why don't you give your husband the child? Then you'll be turning around to this mother saying, why are you abandoning your children?
No, she's got one of the children.
Yeah, but her other one, yeah, but that's not my point. I just think I'd like to say that, because I think that hurt her a lot, yeah?
Get on with it.
But, right, sorry, what I'm asking is, I've been brought up on benefits. I'm only 19, I don't know a lot, I won't say I do, but I've been brought up on benefits, and I always argued I go to college, I get my degree, I get this, that and the other. Unfortunately, 2 years ago I got struck with ME, yeah? Right. And I want to go out and work. I can work about 6 to 8 hours a week, and then I'm dead for the rest of the week. The government is saying to me, if I want to work them 6 hours, all I can live off is the £20 odd that earns me. They will not subsidise it. Whereas if I hand them my sick note, which I am fit to do, they will give me £50 odd a week, housing benefit, blah, blah, blah. But if I'm willing to work 6 hours a week because I want to be a worker, they will give me nothing until I've spent 3 months at least doing nothing, and then ask them, please, can I work 6 hours and will you subsidise me? I want to work. I'm unable to work a full-time job. Sure. But the government is saying to me, if you want to work them measly 6 hours for 20 quid, we're not going to help you. Yeah?
Well, I mean, certainly in terms of disability, I mean, there has been a change in the regulations which does allow people to get the confidence and go into part-time work or for a limited number of hours. That wouldn't have a detrimental effect on their benefit. I mean, I don't know your individual case, but it's certainly one that we can look at.
I did mention this. I said, I know what the MP is going to say. They do have therapeutical earnings. Yeah, you can work certain hours. But I've got to sit on my backside for the next 12, 16 weeks and do nothing, which is going to make me feel worse.
You could actually do some voluntary work. There's lots of voluntary
work.
But
that's not the issue.
Yeah.
The issue is she wants to earn. She wants to provide for a keep.
You are saying to all these people, you can help yourself.
She wants to help herself.
I am trying, and I'm trying to do the 6
Dean, what do you want to say to the Member of Parliament?
I'd like to say is, listening at her cases, she's in your constituency.
No, the same area.
The same area. Well, can I ask?
Well, it might be.
Don't you feel that the government is sort of paying off debts with the surplus they have? They should reinvest in areas where she's living in order for her to get a job.
What should they invest in? You mean the telephone licences, the 25 billion?
I would say it is. And I mean, if we look particularly at the North East, we will see new contracts award the shipyards. We'll see mines being kept going.
That's not going to satisfy.
Hey,
new contracts in the shipyards.
Oh, hang on a minute.
Have just been announced.
You know something that Tony Blair doesn't know.
£100 million for the mining industry and a lot of investment in former coal mining areas, which I represent.
Why are we giving £100 million for cement to go down dirty holes in the ground to dig out coal? Why don't we give £100 million for the workers at Longbridge?
Yeah.
Well, I think £150 million was offered to the workers at Longbridge and BMW under the deal. I mean,
if we're keeping people, we know we don't need coal. If we're going to pay money, if we're going back to that kind of method, now, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not passing any judgment on that because you know me, I'm impartial.
And a former Birmingham lad.
Absolutely, of course. Oh, well, I am thinking of all the Kilroys that work in the car business. Of course I am. I'm thinking of my Uncle Phil and his mate. But seriously, if we don't want men to go down dirty holes in the ground, we don't particularly want them to work on perhaps car assembly lines, but it's a bit more civilised than going down a dirty hole. We don't need coal. We know we don't need coal, but if we're prepared to subsidise that to keep people like Lisa and David in work...
Well, how can I do a job like that?
Because you can, because the people who go down the coal spend money in shops and on cinemas and restaurants and all the rest of it, and you'd be working in one of those. Why can't we do the same for Longbridge?
Well, I think we had offered a similar amount, but there had been a large amount of money had been offered. I think the whole history of government intervention in the car industry is not particularly successful.
I'm sorry, I'm taking you off on a red herring. What are you going to do about poverty?
Well, first of all, one of the big areas of poverty is child poverty in particular. I think everybody feels about that. Some of the initiatives that we've launched, and people might feel they've not gone far enough, but they're a real step in the right direction. At the end of this Parliament, something like 700,000 children will not be living in poverty as they were when we were first elected.
Does that mean Lisa's children?
I hope Lisa, who's starting a course, and I really hope she keeps in touch after this programme, starts that course.
In touch with?
With me, and lets me know
we'll make sure of that.
And how she gets on.
We'll send her in a chauffeur-driven car to your door every week to report on progress.
And I'm sure and I hope she'll be successful at that, and hopefully we'll find a job, because everybody knows, and I repeat it again, the best route out of poverty is employment.
Child poverty comes from parent poverty. Before there's child poverty, there's parent poverty, and that happens because they haven't got a well-paid job. Now, we've touched on it, but we haven't really focused on the real issue here, and it's about distribution of wealth. Now, all the money, all the hard work that goes on in the north and the southwest, I come from Cornwall, we've lost about everything except for China clay. The tin mines have shut, and what have you. It's almost as if we've got the highest water bills, we've got the highest council tax increases, and yet with probably the poorest, give or take a few areas in the north, county in the country. Basically, it's about making sure that our local councils are informing people. We've had 10 years of European funding. We have local industries, we have top priority in Cornwall. You can get up to about £1 million. I don't know if it's still the case, it was a few months ago.
What do you want him to do?
But it's already, the information has already been there.
What do you want him to do?
he's got to make sure the council and the local authorities are informing the farmers.
You can't subsidise jobs that are the future.
No,
you have to look
about...
to the future. However, that sounds terribly hard-hearted. And I always remember the government that probably doled out more public money than...
The European money we've already paid. It's there, it's ours, but it's not being used. Yeah. It's 2B funding, 5B funding, all the areas that we've probably been talking about have got that funding, and they've got the opportunity to get DTI funding. And it's the responsibility of the people we pay, the MPs, the councillors, to inform the public, to inform the farmers, to inform the fishermen and the miners that they already had money available and they should be able to be working together to put packages together 10 years ago. Not tomorrow, 10 years ago.
Poverty,
Can I
just say, David,
that's the cause of poverty.
You've just said,
money going into London.
You've just said a couple of things. One is the fact you can do part-time work. I've done part-time work. Someone offers me a part-time job, I take it instantly. And then they shut off my housing benefit, and they cancel all of the rest of it, and then I have to go back and reapply from scratch over and over again.
Can I just ask...
It's crazy.
The MP, though, because people here, they expect social security benefits, which is fine, and they need them. But if you go around the world, there are many, many countries in the world, like the country I come from, which is much poorer than England.
Where do you come from?
I come from Warsaw in Poland.
What are you doing, telling us what to do then?
Well, I'm a British citizen now. I've been here for 20 years.
And you're paying your taxes?
Well, I'm paying my taxes.
Oh, that's all right then. That's okay then.
Yes, and I came to this country, and I came to this country with nothing, absolutely nothing. But I just want to say that in countries which are significantly poorer than Britain, like Poland, there's no such thing as social security. If you're young, they don't have. Well, they don't because they've got to go and find jobs.
So they have to work.
They've got to go and work because there isn't this safety net which there is in this country.
Why can you do that? They don't. They all come here.
No, that's a bit. That's a bit harsh.
But they haven't got jobs. If you haven't got jobs, if there aren't jobs, you can't work. If there's not a job, you can't work.
In the
so
fields.
Are you saying there's no poverty in Poland?
There's terrible poverty in Poland, but people around the world, whether it's Africa or the Far East, there isn't this level of security.
Karen, you were going on about how you talked about, how much money you spend to different markets, supermarkets, whatever, how difficult you found to be. There's a member of Parliament. There's, in effect, Tony Blair.
We
haven't got very much time. What do you want to say to him about your situation and what he should be doing?
Well, I feel that the government should at least address the poverty of people on income support because they do not assess the families on the individual family's needs. What they do is say, you're a single mother with a child, you have that amount. Well, they don't take into consideration that I spend like £11 a week travelling to the bus on 40 buses a week to take it to school.
Account of your full circumstances.
They don't take it. No, I can't get that from the Education Committee. I can't get that from the welfare state.
Well, I think the whole reform of the welfare state's got to look at a whole range of issues. But coming back to the point earlier, it needs to be a safety net. There are people who can't work. There are people who are severely disabled, and nobody disagrees that we've got to give them support. For those who can, we've got to devise a welfare state that can project people into full-time, good-paid employment.
And can he do that?
That should be our aim.
Can he do? That's their aim. Hang on, man. Can he do it?
Yeah, I mean, I've gone through everything. I've been homeless. I've been on the streets. I've been in council flats. I've been in bed and breakfast. I've been everywhere. I've now got my own flat. I'm getting income support, but I'm doing less than 60 now, so I'm back at work. If you want something bad enough, you really want it bad enough, you can get it.
Well, maybe he's right. You heard the Member of Parliament say everything comes from having a job, but of course it does. I know, but we all understand what it's like to be unemployed, the lack of self-esteem, the lack of self-respect, the depression, and not wanting to get up in the morning. There's nothing more debilitating and degrading like that. And your whole kind of character and your personality, what you are, grows from what you do, from the job, the fact you're actually providing for yourself and your family. I'm not saying that a job's there for everybody, but you know, at the end of the last programme we did a year ago on unemployment, I actually said something to that effect at the end, and I said, go down there to that job centre and demand that you get help, because they have a duty, a responsibility to help you find a job so that you can build your future and create that self-respect. And there's one man watching, one we know about at least, who said, right, I'm going to do just that. And he got up out of his armchair and he went straight down to the job centre and he got himself a job. And he's written to us telling us how his life has changed fundamentally for the better and how he's got his self-respect and self-esteem. What you have to do is take charge of your own lives And don't be ground down by the system. Demand that it treats you as a person and gives you dignity and self-respect. Take care of yourselves.
If you'd like to join Robert in a programme about married lesbians or another programme about divorce, call now on 0990 100 771. Are you a lesbian who was married before coming out or who left your husband for a woman? Are you the man who was left or are you a child whose mother left? Perhaps you were brought up by a lesbian couple. Secondly, did your divorce upset your children? Are they caught between you and your partner? Are they now living in different houses? Call now on 0990 100 771. On City Hospital at 10 this morning, we'll meet Michelle.
Designed with lethal intent.